If you could have seen a map of my mind 40 years ago, it would have looked like a war zone. Crowded, noisy, and exhausted. I worried about the mortgage. I worried whether my boss liked my presentation. I worried about a throwaway comment a neighbor made at a barbecue. I worried about my thinning hair, the sound of my car's engine, and whether I was keeping up with people I didn't even like. I spent 80 years as a professional worrier. I believed that if I worried hard enough, I could keep bad things from happening. I thought worry was the fee you paid for a successful life. But standing here at 80, looking back at that battlefield, I realized something that nearly brought me to tears. None of it meant anything. 99% of the things that kept me staring at the ceiling at 3 a.m. never happened. And the 1% that did happen? Worrying didn't make them easier to handle. I traded my peace for a pile of nothing. I traded my joy for shadows. Before you lose another night of sleep, listen to me. Let me show you what you can stop worrying about right now, so you don't reach 80 with a heart full of wasted time. The heaviest burden I carried was the weight of your eyes. Not yours specifically, but theirs. The neighbors, the colleagues, the strangers in the checkout line. I spent decades worrying about my reputation. I wanted to be seen as steady, successful, and smart. I bought clothes I didn't like to impress people who weren't even paying attention. I swallowed my real opinions because I didn't want to rock the boat. I lived in a cage made out of other people's expectations. Here's the truth you only really believe at 80. Nobody cares. Everyone is too wrapped up in their own life, their own insecurities, their own image to spend more than a second thinking about yours. I spent 30 years worrying what the neighbors thought of my lawn, only to realize they didn't even know my middle name. I wasted my freedom trying to please a crowd that wasn't even there. Let go of the need to be seen a certain way. Your reputation is a ghost. Don't let it haunt the one life you have. I also used to worry about the what-ifs. What if the economy crashes? What if I lose my job? What if I get sick? I lived in constant rehearsal for a disaster that was always just beyond the horizon. I treated my life like a bunker. I was so busy reinforcing the walls that I forgot to look out the window. And when the storms did come, and they did, they never looked like the storms I'd pictured. They blew in from directions I never imagined. Worry is like walking around with your umbrella open on a sunny day because it might rain. You missed the sunshine, and when a storm finally hits, you still end up getting wet. At 80, I can say this. I survived every storm life sent my way. What I didn't survive was the worry. That was what ate me alive from the inside. Stop rehearsing tragedies that haven't happened yet. I worried about enough. I checked the bank balance, the square footage, the investment accounts over and over. I believed there was a magic number where worry would stop. I thought that once I hit that peak, I'd finally feel safe. But that peak is a lie. The more you have, the more things there are to worry about. First, I worried about getting the money. Then I worried about keeping it. Then I worried about who might try to take it. At 80, I've learned that enough is a state of mind, not a number in an account. I have less now than I did at 60, but I am infinitely wealthier because I stopped obsessing over more. The things that meant nothing, the status symbols, the luxury upgrades, they were just anchors. When I let them go, I finally started to float. Don't spend your life building a mountain of things that won't keep you warm at night. I spent years worrying about my children, their grades, their friends, their choices. I convinced myself that if I worried enough, I could engineer a perfect life for them. I mistook my anxiety for love. It wasn't love. It was a burden. They didn't need a worried father. They needed a present one. They didn't need me to fix every problem. They needed to see me handle my own struggles with grace. I worried about whether they were going to the right college, while missing chances to just sit on the living room floor and play. Now they are grown, and they don't remember the details of anything I worried about. They remember the seasons when I was tense and the seasons when I was joyful. Choose joy. It's the only part they'll actually carry with them. When you stop worrying about the big nothings, you finally start to notice the small somethings. Because I was so fixated on the future, I missed the present. I missed the way the light changes in autumn. I missed the taste of a home-cooked meal because I was checking my watch. I missed the sound of my wife's laughter because I was thinking about a bill. At 80, those little things are the only things that still matter. The sweetness of a ripe peach, the song of a bird at dawn, the feel of clean sheets when you lie down at night. I spent 80 years looking past miracles so I could worry about the mundane. Don't be a tourist in your own life. Stop staring at the map and start looking at the view. I'm 80 years old. My time for worrying is over, not because my problems vanished, but because I finally understand that worry is a thief. It steals your time, it steals your health, and it steals your capacity to love. I spent 80 years worrying about things that meant nothing. Don't do the same. The next time you feel that familiar knot in your stomach, ask yourself, will this matter when I'm 80? If the answer is no, and it usually is, let it go. Empty your hands of all the nothing so you can finally hold what is real. Thank you for listening. If you're ready to stop worrying and start living, please subscribe. Like this video so it can reach another tired soul. And tell me in the comments, what is one thing you're going to stop worrying about today? Let's help each other let go. God bless and breathe.